Obviously, though, Báez last night, the big blow in 7-4 win over Houston. I think when you look at what he's doing, you guys are right. It's not sustainable over, we make a mistake of looking at April and saying like, are the Rockies going to lose, 135 games, right? Like, all these trends are so, it's so hard to analyze them. But I think Javi Báez is off to a better start than he has been. I think Detroit, things are really looking up. You can make the case that they maybe are the best team in the American League and that it's not just a fluky April, very strong. And maybe Javi Báez, as he continues to have a bounce back season, can kind of be the leader that they've been looking for. Because one of the first things AJ Hinch did when he took that job was went and traveled to Javi Báez in the offseason and really tried to convince him to get on board with the new regime and where this team was going. And I think it's hard to lead when you're not playing well, when you're not performing, when you're not on the field. So hopefully for Javi Báez and the Tigers, this can all lead to him taking, a better role in what is still a ridiculously young clubhouse, guys. I almost wrote a story when they advanced about all the things that they were missing by playing deep into October. And these guys are so young, they were all going to miss their bachelor parties. Like, they don't have kids, they don't have anything else to attend, but basically they all got married this off season. As you guys know, it goes in waves. So had the Tigers advanced, really 4 or 5 of those guys would have missed like their bachelor parties. I don't think anybody would have missed their wedding, but it was definitely a case of these young guys making plans at the end of October, not realizing, hey, we could surprise some people. So really an interesting story there. But over in the division as well, over still in the AL Central, how about the Kansas City Royals? After a really rough start to the season, now they are, on a little bit of a run here. Friend of the show, Vinny Pasquantino, with a home run last night. What are you guys seeing from them? And I actually picked them to finish second, right under the Tigers in the Central. I think they're a good team. I think they're a savvy front office. I think that they've really addressed some of their holes over the past year. What do you guys like about the way that they're playing right now as a team?
They're starting to pitch. They need to pitch, and they started to pitch. Yeah. Cameron last night was unbelievable, but they're pitching. That's the key for them. They got to get some offense going. Pasquatch is nice to see him get going. Salvi hasn't gotten going. Bobby Witt's not at the level, although he has the hitting streak, not the level where he was last year. But their pitching is what they were built on last year with Lugo, Waka, the 2 lefties, Bubic and Reagans, and then you throw in Cameron. This is what the team is built on: pitching, defense, and getting timely hits. And last night, Noah Cameron was outstanding. One of the best first starts you'll ever see.
He can't get much better. Can't get much better than that in the debut, especially when he debuted in a minor league park. So maybe he felt comfortable. Maybe that helped him. But this team has always, besides when AJ first got called up to the big leagues, when that team would just bludgeon you to death and they'd lose 11-10, this team in their last successful run since, 13, 14, 15, they had a younger crew of position players, but it's built on defense and pitching because of how the park is. And when this team doesn't pitch, they don't do well. I get it. They have the MVP an MVP candidate in Bobby Witt Jr., but this team, you're just never going to be able to hit a ton because of the way that park is, it holds down offense a little bit. So if this pitching continues to do what they're doing, because that bullpen, they added pieces last year. They added Carlos Estevez this year in the offseason and a free agent signing. Like, this pitching staff is legit, and they weren't legit until this recent hot streak. So you expect those guys to pick it up. Are they going to hold it at this level? I don't know. The Tigers are tough. The Tigers aren't going to make it as easy for them as the Twins did for the Royals last year.
Yeah, they've won 8 of 9 right now, guys. And also shout out to home plate umpire Nick Lentz, who basically had a perfect game, I guess, in the Kansas City Tampa Bay game. That's pretty incredible. We trash umpires when they're terrible. We should give you your flowers when you do good as well. Here's his scorecard for 430. Look at that right there. I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know if you can get better than that.
Straight to the World Series
as well. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Yeah, like Kansas City, I mean, they're a good team, but they have such a small margin for error, I feel like they always do in that market. You mentioned Kratz, the pitching. Their pitching staff last year was the #1 in defensive run save. So they're not just pitchers. They're guys who are very athletic on the field. They make like a big competition out of PFPs in spring training where they're trying to like be the top one to win money. And they really do a good job kind of saying this is the Royals way. The Guardians do something similar, right? Where like these small market teams have to adopt this mantra and this like style of play to maximize the talent because they aren't going out there and signing these huge free agents. Though I will say what they have done under John Sherman has been impressive in spending money, in raising the floor of what they can spend.
They want a new stadium.
Thank you.
They want a new stadium,
Yes.
and that's the best way to do it is put a team on the field that's going to win. And it's also they're seeing their window to be able to capitalize the huge contract that they gave to Bobby Witt in his prime.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be right back. We're switching gears. We're going to go to the Boston Globe's Pete Abraham, one of 3 guests we have today on Foul Territory.
If you want a razor that looks good, makes you look good, gets the shave done, and doesn't cost much,
Oh,
is it nice?
that's a hairy John, and you can smell it too. Smell it, John. Smell it.
Oh wow, what
After
is
See,
that?
that's Harry's. That's the shave gel. I'm telling you. Look, I mean, this.
You look scary, man.
It's the shot.
Fresh.
Now come in. Get this.
I don't
Look how-
want to
look how
touch this
soft
head
that is.
anymore. Oh my
Look how
god.
soft it
It
is.
That looks
doesn't-
like
it is
German
soft.
engineered blades made
It
in their
is
own
soft.
factory that stay sharp longer.
I'm using the razor, and it does not. You can start to feel when
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets dull. I mean, you guys only do like here and like up here.
true.
I'm doing acreage. Get the edge on your shave with Harry's. Normally their trial set is $10, but right now you can get it for just $6 at harrys.com/foul. That's our exclusive link, harrys.com/foul for a $6 trial set.
All right, this from Ben Nicholson-Smith, another game-changing performance from Jeff Hoffman. This is the 3rd time the Blue Jays have asked him to go 2 innings this month. 3rd time he's pitched 2 scoreless, never exceeding 27 pitches to get the job done. Hats off to Jeff Hoffman, what he's been able to do so far. Really interesting, guys, because if you remember, there was like a bunch of other teams interested in him, and then there were some issues with physicals. I know the Orioles and Atlanta. So good on Jeff Hoffman for saying, you know what? There's nothing wrong with this arm. I'm going to go out and shove. That's exactly what he's done.
Blowing kisses to your team, Britt. He's blowing kisses to your team after they
Not
didn't
my
sign
team.
him. After they didn't sign him, maybe he's saying you guys should have signed me. I'm just thinking that maybe he's thinking, hey, Orioles, you guys need a late inning reliever that could help you guys. Maybe you should have stuck with me. But they didn't, and now he gets to blow kisses to him, and I love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the smoke. Get after it.
Big win for the Blue Jays last night over the Red Sox. I thought that game was over, guys. I mean, you try and keep track of so many games. It's 6-0. I'm like, I'll focus in on another game. I was watching the Yankees-Orioles for a while. And then all of a sudden, Toronto, huge comeback. Huge for a team that offensively you've been kind of waiting for them. They've been pitching, but you've just been kind of waiting for the bats to follow. And that's the kind of win that could, maybe kind of get them going in another direction here. Because I think a lot of teams in April, we always talk about offenses being slow. So a lot of teams are in that similar boat where you're hoping to kind of get them together. I think what the Blue Jays have done, super helpful.
What's up, Pete?
All right. Welcome back. What's up, Pete? Foul Territory. Pete Abraham, a friend of mine, one of the better reporters you will ever meet. He has been covering the Yankees forever. Then he switched to the Red Sox. He is the one and only, the great Pete Abraham. Pete, what's up?
Britt, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Pete. I got a baby napping 2 doors down. Talking baseball. It's a nice change.
As long as they're still quiet, you're all good.
Exactly. Pete, we were just talking about the game last night about, it looked like it was going to be another Boston's bats crush Toronto. Obviously, that wasn't ended up being the story. But you still, I think when you look at this month for the Red Sox, you got to be pretty happy if you're Craig Breslow about how this team has played out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it's funny because they've had some really bad losses that have taken away from some of their good wins. The bad losses have been really bad. Last night, they're up 6-0 and they end up losing. But when you look at the whole of it, I think they've done pretty well without some key guys, with the rotation kind of a mess at the beginning of the year. A lot of guys, important spots, some injuries, but I think they're in a good position going into May that they can be even better than they were in April. And they're only, I think it's a division. So.
All right, you said bad losses. Was it bad losses, or did they just get exposed in areas of weaknesses in those cases, or is it just chalked up to, you know what, the ball just didn't bounce our way?
Yeah, I mean, the defense, especially in the infield, has been shaky, and that a couple of the losses were just a product of bad defense, and that's something they need to fix up. Last night, I thought they went an extra inning with Giolito, and they maybe could have settled for 5, given it was his first game in something like 400 days. And then Garrett Whitlock hung a change up, and it was a 3-run homer, and that cost them the game. But they've had some real painful days when Alex Cora's been sitting at his desk after the game and saying things have to change and we have to fix this, and this is unacceptable. There's been too many of those days early in the season, but in the last 2 weeks or so, they've kind of gotten themselves back on track.
Did they feel like the Bregman signing was going to improve this defense enough from where I think they were one of the bottom fielding teams in the league last year? Did they feel like one signing of the third baseman was going to get the job done? Because there was a lot made about it in spring training, like, no way you can have Devers out there and move Bregman to second base. And yet it's a different cast, but it's the same amount of errors, if not more at this point in the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first part of it is Bregman is definitely an upgrade on Devers, so you've improved that position. There's no question about that. I think a full season of Trevor Story is going to be an overall upgrade compared to the sort of rotating cast they've had the last couple of years because he was out with an injury. Christian Campbell is a guy who's played some outfield and some infield in the minors. Now he's settled at second base. There's been a few more like, I think, physical mistakes than mental mistakes at second base. I think that'll improve over time. And Tristan Casas, who's had a chance to be a good first baseman, has been bad this year. Just bad. And that's something they need to. And the other part of it is they don't have anybody else who can play first. Their backup first baseman is Romy Gonzalez. So that part of it has been a real problem, that Casas hasn't had a good year.
Pete, it feels like we've seen some of these younger players come up, but one player that everyone's kind of waiting on still is Roman Anthony, who's doing terrific down AAA Pawtucket for the Sox. When can we realistically expect him to come up? And is it a matter of needing a spot, or do you still think that they're looking for him to improve things down there?
Yeah, this is the big question around his team. What's going to happen with Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer? When are they going to get called up? A couple things. Mayer's playing in AAA for the first time, so it's not going to be the worst thing if he spends another month in AAA. Anthony last year, and he does look ready. He's mashing the ball in AAA. The question is, where do you play him? It's not left field because Jarren Duran is there. It's not right field because William Abreu is having an all-star caliber season to this point. It could be in center field, but Ceddanne Rafaela is clearly their best outfield defender, and his presence has really changed them in terms of defense. So how do you best fit him in? I don't know how that's going to be. I think for now, what Craig Breslow is saying is we still have development goals for those guys. Let's give it some time, and these things have a way of straightening themselves out. Whether it's injury or performance, one way or another, a job is going to open for him. But the more he hits, and he's just been crushing the ball lately, you wonder how long they can wait, and do they want to take advantage of how well he's playing in AAA and get him up here? But I mean, I guess it's like a first world problem that, you can't have too many good players, but at the same time, you don't want to do something that's going to hurt you over the course of the season just to accommodate a guy who's hot right now.
We'll make sure Red Sox fans know it's Worcester now and not Pawtucket. The Pawtucket Stadium, I think, got torn down.
Very sad. Yeah.
That was a, as Britt said, an institution. For sure. I love just going there. It was such a unique stadium, but it's a unique problem to have. But are they willing as an organization to make those decisions? It's easy to come up with, well, he still needs development on this. He's not hitting the breaking ball well. He's not elevating enough pitches. Is that an easy solution, or are the Red Sox in a situation, are they in a spot where they're okay making the hard choice and moving on at this point in the season from somebody like a Casas? Or are they saying, no, you know what? We have a timeline of how many opportunities we're going to give a player like that.
Yeah, I've had like 50 emails that have been basically teach Roman Anthony how to play first base and put him out there Tuesday. And that's not what's going to happen. I mean, their problem is that the guy who they could replace is a first baseman, and they don't have another first baseman. So he's going to play there. I don't know where they find a spot for either of those guys right now. I mean, you can't just sit Trevor Story. He's finally healthy. He's finally playing well. He's your second most highest paid player. And I don't think you could trade him in the first week of May. That would seem pretty impossible. And all three of the outfielders are playing very well. So I don't know how this is going to work. Other than that, I mean, you guys have seen this one way or another. Things seem to work out in baseball. Something's going to happen that'll present an opportunity, and you'll see where it goes. But for now, and Breslow said this yesterday, we're just going to wait and kind of let those guys continue to have some development that we feel like they need.
Would they trade these guys? Peter, would they trade these guys? Would they just if the right opportunity arose, would they, are those two guys, Anthony and Meyer, are they untouchable?
Well, I mean, somebody was going to go in the Crochet deal, and it ended up being the catcher, Kyle. So nobody's untouchable, but it would have to be something momentous for either of those guys to get traded. I mean, Meyer's a guy that they've seen as part of their future since the day he got drafted. And Anthony, for a second-round pick, has become the best prospect in baseball by almost anybody you read or listen to on all of those prospect rankings. So if you were going to trade one of those guys, it has to be for somebody you're really, really sure is going to be, like not just a contributing player, but like a superstar player. And the other part of it is, Trevor Story is fine so far, but the last couple of years have been full of injuries for him. So it would be one of those things where you'd be afraid to trade your star young shortstop, and then 2 weeks later, something happens to Trevor and you're bemoaning that you did that. So I don't know. I'd be shocked if they were to trade either of those guys after trading Teal, and it took Crochet to trade Teal. So it would have to be somebody to that level to make another deal like that. And I don't know who's going to trade that guy at this point in the season.
Yeah, it's early. It's not happening right now. It would have to happen around the trade deadline. But I could see it. What's going on with Casas? You mentioned him. You brought him up. He was the future, and he, he's quirky as all get out, and he does all these crazy things, and we see it all. But what's going on with him? Because you mentioned his bad defense. He's also not swinging it very well. What happened to Tristan Casas? Is it just a matter of him missing so much time?
I mean, taking a lot of strikes, which has been strange because he's a very aggressive hitter. He's become a passive hitter. It was a strength of his to work the count when he first got called up. And now it's become a detriment. It's almost like he's waiting for the perfect pitch to swing. And he had a walk-off double last week, and everybody was like, all right, here he goes. He just had this walk-off, and everything's going to change. It didn't change. And I think the offense has gone into the field for him because he's just had some plays where he's just dropped the ball at first base. He's held on to the ball, waiting for the pitcher to come over and cover when he's 5 feet from the bag instead of just jogging to the bag, stuff like that. So it's been all around not a good season for him. And he's a guy who doesn't have a lot of ways to make up for not swinging it well. He's not fast. He's not a great defender. He needs to, have extra base hits and RBIs to be a contributing guy. And he just hasn't done that. But I don't know what they would do. They literally don't have anybody else, minor leagues, major leagues, who they would put at first base for a long period of time. They have guys they don't mind using there for a day or two, but they don't have a first baseman.
Devers.
Okay.
Devers.
Yeah.
Devers. What about Devers?
And you've already, Alex Cora, which I was shocked that he did this, he came out a couple weeks ago and said, not only Devers the DH, he is not going to play an inning in the field all year long, which I was like, so what happens if Alex Bregman sprains his ankle? You're just going to, that's it? You're not going to put him at third base? I was surprised that Alex did that. But yeah, I have not laid eyes on Rafi holding a glove since spring training. So if you were to put him at first, that would be extremely interesting.
What we've talked about most of this time, besides when I mentioned Alex Bregman, is the youth movement in Boston. Is Chaim Bloom not getting enough credit for what he did here? And was he unjustly fired for somebody who came in and actually got money to spend?
Well, yeah, that part of it, I could see if you're a Chaim Bloom guy, you're saying, oh, how come Craig Breslow got all of this money to make additions to the team? The one thing Chaim didn't do was improve the pitching depth, and that's something Breslow has done. He's made some trades and done some things to really improve their pitching stock. They've got a lot of guys now in the pipeline, and they had nobody in the pipeline before. Now, I don't know how much credit you give him for, he drafted Marcelo Mayer. Okay, but that was kind of an obvious choice. They had the 4th pick of the draft. A lot of people thought he would be the 1st or 2nd pick. He was sitting there at 4th. I think anybody would have said, take Marcelo Mayer. So I don't know how much credit you get for making, picking the 4th round, the 4th pick in the draft. But he did do some things. Wilyer Abreu was a guy he obtained. Ceddanne Rafaela was a guy he obtained. So he did some things that are helping them right now. But the pitching part of it wasn't working out. And that's something Breslow and Andrew Bailey have really made a lot of changes and fixed.
Pete, you had an interesting tweet. I don't know. What do you call it on Blue Sky? A moon, a sun,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Star?
I think guys, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. But Jonathan Papelbon from Mississippi State, I know they fired their coach, Chris Lemonis. First of all, would he take this job? And second of all, would he hire me as his recruiting coordinator? Because we could have a good time on the road.
I'll say this. Pap is very dedicated to Mississippi State. Every time I've talked to him, he talks about Mississippi State program. What kind of coach he would be, I don't know. In the age of NIL and all the other stuff that a coach needs to deal with, they would have to have some kind of general manager, I would assume. But Pap knows baseball. He knows pitching. He knows Mississippi. I think it would be an interesting choice. Guys would want to play for him, I would think. I don't know. I was just, that's 80% joking around. I think he's just doing what he's doing. But I'd want to go cover that team if Pap was the coach. I'll tell you
that. Pete Abraham, Boston Globe. Check out his work if you're not familiar. Pete, thanks as always for joining us. We really appreciate it. Hopefully I will see you in a press box at some point soon.
Well, if I'm the Mississippi State beat writer in a year, I hope I can still come back. So,
of course, you can always come back and talk about Papelbon.
Starkville's not that bad, Pete, but you probably wouldn't fit in very well.
We'll be right back with Hot Corner here on Foul Territory.
Kratz, let's talk about the #1 recommended dermatologist hair growth supplement brand, and it's a brand that you are just starting your journey with.
I'm using about 1.5, 2 months into my journey. It's a 6-month journey. See what I can get. See a little thicker, fuller everywhere, filling it out. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I'm very excited to see the Nutrafol results with Kratz. And don't show us your hat yet, okay? You got to stay tuned through this journey. And if you want to join Kratz for this journey, you can start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering FT listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code FOUL. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code FOUL.
I love a good subtweet, Kratzy, especially when it's juicy and it's about the Angels. This is former big leaguer Zach Cozart, basically confirming what we all know, that the Angels have the worst travel. And he said, not only is the team exhausted, but I know this is a big reason why they have so many injuries. So it is no longer just us kind of opining. And Sam Bloom obviously got the conversation started recently, writing this article, kind of analyzing the data. Guys, there's no question in my mind that this is Artie Moreno's way of squeezing last dollars out of the fans, just like he preferred and sometimes yelled at managers for starting Shohei Ohtani on the road. Is there going to be enough public shame to get this changed or altered in any way? Or do the Angels simply not care?
I mean, I don't know. It's the Angels. You can't lump them all in. It's whoever's making the decision to be a money-grubbing, 5,000 extra tickets sold type of owner. And you look at the team and you're like, wow, these guys, they go out and get guys. They go out and get big-time spending free agents. They haven't always worked out. I get it, but they had two of the best players, if not the two best players on the planet for a long time. And you say, well, why can't they win? And then everyone points, oh, you didn't make enough pitching. Art doesn't like pitching, and then there's a little bit player development stuff where they don't give those guys enough to develop. It's all revolved around pinching pennies in the wrong scenarios. And goes to Artie Moreno. And I really think this is trash. And I said it before, it's a minor league thing to do.
We saw Murph kind of do a similar thing in St. Louis with some of the position players. What's your reaction to coming out of the game in the second inning?
Disappointed for sure. Definitely don't want to have the bullpen out there in the third. And kind of rolling off that last start, just same thing. Just disappointed. But, I mean, it's not our decision. I probably would have made the same decision if I was him. So just got to be better.
Guys, what does this do? Obviously, this is Pat Murphy kind of sending a message again. What does pulling a guy like Myers after 2 kind of spotty innings do for that clubhouse, do for that team, do you think?
Nothing. They won the game. Nothing. They won the game. So it doesn't matter. That's it. They won the game. So Tyler Alexander came in and pitched great. The rest of the bullpen pitched great, and they won the game. So, yeah, it sucks for Tobias Myers, and we like him. He's a nice guy, and he had a great year last year, and he's doing good. But Murph is just saying we need to win the game, and you weren't getting it done, so we went to somebody else, and they won the game. So that's all that matters. At the end of the day, you win the game.
The Brewers try to figure out how to piece everything together to do exactly what AJ said, win the game. And maybe, we're correlating it with, they didn't play good defense last week, and Murph was kind of calling those guys out when they had a closed-door team meeting, and then everything that was talked about has been expressed. So I don't know how closed-door it was, but that's what you have to do. They don't have the ace of the staff anymore. They don't have the marquee guys. And if Murph feels like he has to make examples out of guys that say, hey, you know what? You weren't up to par in this situation. We're going to go to some guys who are. Hats off to Murph, and that's how you win Manager of the Year if your team keeps winning.
Yeah, pretty spicy move here for April, but we'll see how that works out. I think Milwaukee, as a lot of people thought, not going to dominate the NL Central any longer. This is going to be a little bit more of a dogfight, I think, going in. But there was a lot of spicy stuff happening last night. Did you guys watch the Orioles-Yankees game on Prime Video last night? Watch this. Here we go.
I don't understand this. I don't understand why we're mad about this.
Apparently, this dates back to last season a little bit with Heston Kjerstad. Thought it was intentional. The best part about this whole thing, though, guys, is, there's not really fights in baseball anymore. I love how this is going on here. And then you see in the corner the bullpen guys all running out. Total eyewash. What are these guys going to do by the time they get to this here? This is what Heston took exception to. He thought it was on purpose.
Was this the Matrix? I mean, I know some people think we live in the Matrix, but you can just float in the air. But he's got to come down at some point, and he just happened to land on him. I don't know. The throw took him right into it. It wasn't like he stepped on him or did anything. I don't know. It was kind of crazy, but I don't know. The bullpen's running in too. They had to the Yankees bullpen had to wait for the Orioles. But why don't they just fight in the bullpen? Let's just have them
I don't know.
You can have Devin Williams off the top rope on the mountain and see if he catches him in the air. I don't know, because the Yankees bullpen is above the Orioles bullpen. The Orioles are going to try to figure out how to take the high ground and be more entertaining than what we got.
Yeah. Brian Hoke, longtime Yankees.com reporter, just tweeted up on that full screen there that he had a downstairs neighbor who would bang on the ceiling every time I walked, especially if I used the bathroom in the middle of the night. It's my fault for not learning to levitate. Pablo Reyes can probably relate. Yeah, this whole thing is silly. Very silly. I think a lot of it, too, on the Orioles side, guys, is probably frustration. You're playing the Yankees. You're trying to win the series, which they did end up doing. But there's always been a little bit of that little brother syndrome. And, Yankee fans come to Camden Yards. They make all this noise. The Orioles always feel like even these home games oftentimes are Yankee home games. So I think that had a little bit to it as well. There's been a lot of people on edge in Baltimore, but yeah, this was taken totally out of context. I would love to see a bullpen on bullpen fight. I would pay to see a bullpen on bullpen fight, but let's be real. These guys are running out from the bullpen. No one is prepared to throw punches. They're just running out because everyone else is running out and they're bored, right?
Eyewash. And it would be dangerous. It's dangerous unless they changed it. They used to have cobblestone steps coming down from the bullpen in Camden Yards, and it's dangerous just walking out there. So you can't have people running out, let alone the bullpen guys are never going to fight each other because they're, bullpen comrades out there. But I'm going to bring this a little bit more back to like reality. I get it why Heston Kjerstad was pissed. Not in a baseball sense. Next time you bang your head in your house, think about what Heston Kjerstad was thinking, because he got hit in the head by a huge butt. He got hit in the head, and like anytime you get hit in the head, it just, for some reason, it makes me angry. Maybe AJ, Britt, you guys are better than me, but when I get hit in the head, like I bang my head on something, it just irritates me. It gets, I don't know. I don't understand. So maybe that's how he felt.
maybe guys. I don't know. This is much to do about nothing, especially in April. If it's September and these teams are playing to win the American League East, tensions are high. I'm all in. I got it. But to me, this seemed like so silly. And I was watching the broadcast and they didn't show it. They like later went to it. It was a very odd sequence how Prime did it last night. So I'm with you guys. If we're going to fight, let's see some real fights. If we're going to fight, I want to see like Kevin Gregg trying to punch David Ortiz when he storms the mound. I don't want to see bullpen guys empty, everyone take up a ton of time, the game get delayed for literally nothing. So this to me, much to do about nothing. But let's switch gears here. There is, in my opinion, a little bit of a concern here out in Arizona. AJ Puk is going on the IL. They made some roster moves. This to me is concerning. Look at these moves that they just made earlier today. They transferred him to the 60-day IL. He was expected to be back before then. So this, guys, is kind of screams like he will not return for the rest of the year. Elbow inflammation. This seems like it's going to be something where we don't see him. What?
This sounds like Tommy John to me.
Yeah, it does. I hate saying that.
I hate saying that too, but 60-day IL already. There's more than 60 days left in the year, and usually if they had, I know they needed a roster spot, but this sounds worse than what they're saying. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few days, and this sucks to say, and I do not want this to happen, but Puck in a couple of days, you're going to see like, oh, he went to see Meister in Texas to reevaluate his elbow, or Elatrash to reevaluate, get a second opinion. I hope it doesn't come to that, but 60 days is sucks.
Yeah. Unfortunate for Arizona. I mean, look at the West right now. And I think a lot of people, when we did this front office poll this spring, talked about how great Arizona was, how they're a team on the up and up. And they're a good team. But you just look at the Dodgers and the Padres and the starts that they've jumped out to. And then, of course, the Giants as well. And, right now Arizona's in fourth place and really needs a lot of things to click and to fall into place for them to kind of leapfrog all of these teams. And we'll get some more Padres talk later. We got Kevin Acee from the San Diego Union Tribune talking to us later. But I think when you look at Arizona, it's too early to say panic, but certainly, they needed AJ and they needed to kind of find a way to win some of these early games. I feel like the NL West is a division where you can't afford to have a bad week or a bad 2 weeks. You kind of have to be on your game from the start of the season until the end of September, because it is just going to be one of, if not the deepest division in baseball, outside of course, the obvious caveat that the Colorado Rockies are in that division. But you've got 4 legitimate teams that are in that division.
Britt, is the NL West now the AL East that used to cover? Because remember, the AL East used to be the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Is it now the NL West?
I mean, I think so. I mean, you look at what the AL East, every team is flawed. Like, I was talking about this the other day. If the Yankees are the best team right now in the AL East, if we're going by like how we are judging records, right? They're still in first place, even though they lost that series, I believe. The Red Sox are right behind them. Yeah, they're a game and a half up on the Red Sox. They're flawed. They've had like 3 players that are playing well, really. Rodon, Fried, and Judge. The rest of their lineup hasn't done anything. The Orioles have been a train wreck. Toronto has been missing power for quite some time. We heard Pete talk a little bit about the issues with Boston, and Tampa Bay's having a little bit of a down year. We expected that. So I think that, when you look at divisions, definitely the National League as a whole is stronger, but the National League West is a lot deeper. I think the NL East is a tough division because you've got the Mets, who are playing extremely well. The Phillies are going to be better, and Atlanta got off to that brutal start, but I think we all know they're a little bit of an issue. So yeah, I think so. I don't think the AL East is this big power division. It may take 88 wins to win the American League East this year, which makes it all the more frustrating, I think, if you're an Orioles fan, in that this division is wide open and the front office went out and got no one and got nothing and did nothing on the pitching side. So certainly the NL West, because I think if the Padres were in another division, they'd be leading it. Don't you guys think? Are the Padres in the top handful of teams in baseball right now? I'm going to say yes, based on how they've played.
Yes, agreed. And I think the Yankees are probably 1 and 2 with the Tigers and the best teams in the American League. And I would fight against you. I think the guys in the Yankees lineup, which is banging out home runs, that are doing well are not the star-studded names, the Volpes, the Bellingers, the Jazz Chisholms. It's Trent Grisham, who was coming off the bench. Now he's earned a spot. It's Ben Rice. It's Paul Goldschmidt, who's had a resurgence. So their lineup is still vaunted. It's just not the media darlings that everybody's like, well, Cody's going to come over and he's going to have an MVP year. And Jazz is so glitzy and glamoury. And it's so different guys are doing it there. It's not, and that's obviously, Judge is otherworldly, but I don't think the AL East is what the NL West is right now.
AJ, are you going to petition for the AL Central?
No, for what? They didn't get 3 teams in the playoffs last year, though. They did get 3 teams in the
did?
playoffs last year. No, I'm not petitioning for the AL Central. I mean, the only way I just meant, when I asked that question, Britt, it was, remember back in the day, I remember forever, it was, oh man, how do you ever get through the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, right? The Orioles are up and coming. The Rays always seem to make the playoffs. Well, now you look at it and you say the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, the D-backs, and then you have another team in that division we don't talk about. They have 5 wins. But that was kind of my point, is it used to be such a gauntlet to get whoever got through the AL East is going to represent the AL in the World Series. And now it's like, man, if you can get through the NL West, then you have a great chance to represent the NL in the World Series.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're seeing the power kind of shift a little bit. I mean, if you're a team right now and you're in the American League, if you're Detroit, they're the 5th or 6th best team if they're in the National League. So it's a totally different setup. It's a totally different ball game, I think. And I think for this Yankees team, a lot of it was injuries. Like if Garrett Cole was pitching, if a little bit more of their lineup was contributing, maybe they'd be a little bit scarier. But to me, there's just not really any scary teams in the American League like there is in the National League at all. So, but we will get to the National League a little bit more when we come back. We're going to talk to Padres beat writer. Yes, it is. Absolutely. We're going to get Padres beat writer Kevin Acee. He's going to come in here, give us the skinny on what's going on in San Diego, who had the best start in organization history, guys, and then have dipped a little, got swept by Tampa Bay. So we're going to see what's going on here in San Diego here in just a few.
For the card collectors out there, you got to check out Arena Club. I've got a showroom, AJ's got a showroom, and it's become a place where you can basically do everything digitally and physically in the hobby.
Absolutely. You can get cards. They'll grade them for you. They come in the plastic if you want to physically get them, so they don't show up like this card that's all bent that Scott, for some reason, decided instead they show up nice, like the exact same card. Look how perfect this one is. That's how Arena Club sends them to you. They'll even encase them for you so they don't get messed up in transit. So Arena Club's your one-stop shop for any baseball card, football card, any card needs that you might have.
And you should check out Slab Packs. You can rip a pack for hundreds of dollars or less and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. I'll take those odds. Right now, you can get 20% off your first Slab Pack or your first card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul. That's code FOUL once you get there, arenaclub.com/FOUL, code FOUL.
Look at this, guys. The highest stolen base percentage in MLB history, minimum 100 steals. This is courtesy of Aaron Gleeman with The Athletic. We've got Byron Buxton Kyle Tucker, Chase Utley, Andres Jimenez, Carlos Beltran. This is impressive. This is now in the era, of course, what we're looking at of bigger bases, of guys being encouraged to steal. I think we are now seeing the stolen bases come back over the last couple of years. It's now a big part of guys' games. It's important. Speed is being valued again. And, if you are an elite, prolific base runner, there's no reason why you can't steal 40, 50 bags, kind of like AJ Pierzynski in his prime.
Yes, I think my career high was 2. But I love this. But the only thing I don't love about this is these dudes need to be stealing more. If you can steal Byron Buxton, what the heck, man? You need to be going like every time you're on first. I know you got some injury problems. Andres Jimenez, let's go, baby. If I'm on your team, I'm telling them, go. If you're 87%, whatever it is, you go. Every chance you get, you go. You just stop by, high five the first base coach, and go to second.
Byron Buxton. We know stolen bases can get to you, and if you got leg issues, don't know. And I know Chase Utley, he came up in the Davey Lopes era, coaching first base with the Phillies. Davey would just be like, look, when I tell you to go, you're going to make it. And guys would say, if you didn't steal when he told you to steal, he'd be pissed because you're going to make it every time.
All right, we're back. Britt, Erik Kratz, AJ Pierzynski, joined by Kevin Acee. Kevin, how are you? Padres beat writer, longtime Padres beat writer. How long you been covering the Padres, Kevin?
I've been back doing baseball for only 8 years, actually. When I say only, it's only May, so by August that'll feel like 20 years. You know how that is.
They're dog years though, so really, it's what, 64 years?
Yeah. But I've only been on a couple times, but every time the lead in, I always find it very fascinating. I love your guys' conversations.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. So we were talking about this last segment a little bit, but take me through. The Padres jump out to this incredible start. And, when I saw you in spring training, I think the vibe was kind of like, well, this team's window might be kind of shut or behind them. And nobody really had outside big expectations. What has kind of propelled them through this first month? I know they got swept by Tampa Bay, come down to earth here a little bit later in April, but what has propelled them into such a good month and being able to say, yeah, maybe they can compete with the Dodgers again this year?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, 162 is a long time to compete with the Dodgers, but they are a dangerous team. And I don't know that why anyone would have thought that 2025 was the closing of their window. Now, the start to the season, I mean, Jackson Merrill was just so significant in, his first 10 games and then had to obviously go on the injured list. And that had a lot to do with the slide. Jake Cronenworth goes on the injured list right after him. And then a little bit after that, they lost Luis Ariz for a week. And that's 3 of their 6 core players. But Fernando Tatis Jr. start to the season, the pitching staff, in particular the bullpen, which you thought was a strength. I think what happened is they had the kind of stretch, whether you go to the 10 games, the 12 games, the 19 games when they were 15-4 before they went to Houston the middle of last month. They had the kind of stretch that good teams have. They had it at the beginning of the year. Now, that's not to say they can't have it again, but it just came at the beginning of the year. Like when a player starts out hitting 450 for the first month and guys do that. Good players do that in the middle of the season. The Padres did it at the beginning of the season. Everything was going right. They're playing a certain kind of way, which I do think bodes well for them to be a playoff team, to not go in sustained slumps. They have good players. Then most of them are playing well.
Kevin, you said that the Dodgers and Padres have to compete for 162. I disagree. All the Padres have to do is get into the playoffs and beat them 4 out of 7 or 3 out of 5. The
Exactly.
162 doesn't matter. Just get in and take your shot because they had them last year. I mean, if you look at it, you ask the Dodgers, you ask the Padres, they had them. They were the last team to beat them. Them and the Diamondbacks, remember in 22, they beat them in that great series with the Goose and all that stuff. And then the Diamondbacks did it in 23. But the Padres are not afraid of the Dodgers. I think that's what we overlook And if they get into a series, forget the 162. Just get in and play them in a 5-game series or a 7-game series, and they'll take their chances against them. They love playing. And the fans, oh, baby, the fans in San Diego, beat LA-Chan and Petco is as good as it gets.
I absolutely agree with you. I was responding to the Dodgers competing for the division title over 162. Look, the Padres will not concede that, but they also feel the way that you do. And it's the way that I feel as someone who has watched them face the Dodgers and watched the Dodgers in the postseason and knows what the Padres bring in terms of their top 3 starters, in terms of their dangerous players, in terms of how Fernando Tatis Jr. rises to the occasion against the Dodgers year after year. That Yu Darvish, if he's back and healthy at that point, and how he pitches against the Dodgers, absolutely, that is what it has become about. I mean, I happen to like it. I happen to like how you go into postseason baseball, and then it just changes so much. I just think over 162, the Dodgers can kind of, it's going to be tough. But look, like I said, the Padres are a dangerous team, a very, very dangerous team.
Before we get into the nooks and crannies of this team, have they made enough adjustments to beat the Dodgers in the playoffs? Because in the offseason, you go and you say, all right, I want to make this adjustment. I want to make this adjustment. All we heard about the Padres was, we might have to get rid of Dylan Cease and shed payroll with getting Luis Ariz off the – and it was like, wait, what? You were so close. The Dodgers even said you were so close. So have they made the adjustments with the personnel on the field?
I would have said emphatically so before they just went 30 innings without scoring, but that was 30 innings without scoring, without Luis Ariz, without Jackson Merrill, without Jake Cronenworth. And so I do believe that this team, the way that they play, the way that Mike Schilt has them playing, and it is pretty remarkable how they have responded to that over a season plus. Every player and the buy-in, I do absolutely believe that a healthy Padres team is still that team that, the 24 innings at the end last year, that pretty much explains it, right? Dylan Cease didn't have a great start in Game 5. They chose to go with Dylan twice on short rest. I absolutely believe it. To me, like the offseason, and this isn't good for business, but it's like, folks, like year after year, the Padres have won the offseason and it hasn't worked out, like spectacularly hasn't worked out. The Padres have been kind of like, as you said, that was the narrative, and it was not a false narrative for this offseason. And now look, they're, arguably one of the top 5 teams in baseball. They're certainly looking like a playoff team. It's like the offseason, like, meh. And yes, to answer your question, it's not like they did nothing. They have made some strategic moves. Nick Pivetta, for goodness sake, is like a revelation.
Yeah. Still, though, they haven't done that much considering AJ Preller is their GM, and it seems like he just loves making move after move and surprise after surprise. With the ownership situation, Kevin, is that a little more, has it given them a little bit more stability, kind of knowing who's in charge? And if they are going to continue to compete like this, do you feel like AJ Preller will be allowed to make adjustments at the deadline and maybe take on some more payroll? Even though, like you said, they've done so much over the last couple of years, it would be a shame to all of a sudden now tighten the purse strings or to say, no, we're not going to go all in.
It is my understanding that they have what some in the organization call dry powder for the trade deadline, like they had last year. I mean, those were some incredible cost-effective moves that made them, at the end of the season, probably the best bullpen. Now, I say that, and then they ran up against the perfect bullpen game against the Dodgers. So that was a pretty good bullpen in the postseason. But the Padres had a really good bullpen. As a matter of fact, one of them's with the Dodgers now. And so I do believe they have that dry powder. They need to stay healthy. Like, their bullpen is pretty darn good. They have some ascending guys in there in Estrada, Morejon, Jason Adams, one of the best. Robert Suarez is pitching very well, has done some things to add to his repertoire and become very, very efficient as a closer. They have to stay healthy.
I don't know what dry powder is, but, Kratz has an idea.
Either do I, but the gist is, I think this goes back to, guns and that sort of thing and all that, they have the ability to spend.
Okay, good. I was thinking something else, so thank you for getting me back on the right track. Okay, so
No,
I got to know this. As somebody that Britt covered for years, Manny Machado, does he not get enough credit? Because we've heard bad things. You know, there's been a lot of stories about Manny, and you've seen it, and this and that. But he's the one constant on this team since he got there. He plays every day. He plays through injuries. He plays third base. He hits third in the lineup. He gets big hits for him. Does he not get enough credit? And maybe Britt can also answer this because she covered him when he was a younger player. But does he not get enough credit? And do we still look back and think, man, he's still the guy that threw the bat at the pitcher and him and Donaldson got into it? Has he matured to a point where we need to give him more credit as a leader?
I'm so glad that you asked. I don't want to say astounded. I like to think that I have great faith in human beings, but if I am astounded, it is a 100% compliment to Manny Machado. And the growth as a person, the growth as a leader, the growth as a teammate, the maturity, the buy-in. I give a lot of credit to the guys around him, to Mike Schilt as well. But Manny Machado is the guy who had to say, like, I'm gonna actually be this leader, and I'm gonna actually be this guy. And that's not to say that he didn't have some of those qualities, that he didn't do some things, but like, we all evolve, and Manny will be the first person to tell you that in not so many words. That we all grow, right? Thankfully. But I could not be, and I talk about it all the time. I talk about it with teammates. I've talked about it with Manny. I've said it elsewhere. Like, what Manny Machado has done in the last 2 seasons to become the Manny Machado he is now, the member of this team. So leader and teammate. It is one. I've been doing this for 30 years. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen. I'm not overstating it. I promise you.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Kevin. I also think too, what people don't realize, and I had somebody in the organization say, there's no one as misunderstood in baseball as Manny Machado, which I find is a perfect way to kind of encapsulate it. What I kind of point to a lot is that Manny posts, and I think that's a dying thing in baseball in the age of workloads and load management and all this other stuff. Manny Machado plays. He plays hurt. He plays banged up. He prides himself on not going on the injured list. And I think even when he wasn't this great leader, even when he was evolving and figuring out who he was, that speaks volumes, right? And that goes back to the Adam Jones, Nick Markakis days in Baltimore. But, I think that guys now watch guys like that and they're like, this guy I saw in the training room for 2 hours, he could barely walk and he's still playing. I'm going to play. I think that speaks volumes as well. And I hope we get back to a place in baseball where we are still valuing games played as well.
Absolutely, Britt. And one of the reasons that I've always I came on because of Britt. I'm pretty tired. I took a red eye, but I was like, I got to get on there with the Manny Whisperer. I got to. So always like to talk to Britt. Like to talk Manny with Britt. It would be simplifying it too much for me to say, like, even when I was one of the guys who wrote stories about, and one story in particular about where Manny needed some growth, I was consistently writing about him posting and about teammates looking up to that. What he has added to that is also this willingness to then, whereas before, let's say Manny's whole thing was I post and I have a 900 OPS and that's good enough. That's my leadership. Now Manny is involved in infield before games because that's important to Mike Schilt. Now they work together and it's 5 minutes to keep Mr. No Small Talk, keep me engaged, to keep Manny buying into it. And so that's like a work together thing that I give Mike Schilt credit for, but Manny credit for like, hey, this is important to my manager, to my coaches, to the young guys to see that I'm also out here doing this. Unless, of course, I need to be in there because I could barely move my hip or my elbow and I'm still going to play, but I got to get my 2.5, 3 hours, 4 hours of treatment. Like Manny has always done that. What he's evolved to is becoming more of like a guy who's involved and everything that the team wants him to be. And I guess maybe the reason that I'm so impressed by that is I was kind of like, hey, This guy plays every day. Like, leave him alone, dude. Like, I mean, I covered a lot of guys like that back in the 90s, early 2000s, where it's like, that's all they do is play. They don't give a hoot about anything else. But Manny has now become like this full service, like, superstar. That's the part that has impressed me.
Kevin, let's talk about you. Not the present you, but you, Darvish.
My favorite.
And when he,
oh, dang it.
And when he's coming back, not just him being able to be active and being on this roster, building his pitch count up, but the fact that they're going with a 4-man rotation right now, how much is this going to affect them, and how are they going to ease him in, should I say?
Yeah, this 4-man rotation isn't going to last for like a week because they got 6 games in a row next week, and the way that the off days line up, it's just not going to work out. So they'll go through it right now and then get back. And then the way it's lining up, maybe the end of May, 5 innings, 5 innings a couple times, and then beginning of June, maybe be able to even face the Dodgers. It was always going to be a plan. It was going to be 39 in August. Has had, obviously, a little bit of nagging stuff, the verge of serious stuff for almost every year he's been with the Padres. So it was always going to be a plan. We're going to find a way to rest you, Darvish. So that guy we saw in September had like a 2 ERA, and then that, pitched well enough to win one game and should have, well enough to win another game in the playoffs. Like that you, Darvish, like that's what we need in September and hopefully October. So we're going to be careful with you. That's what they're doing now with him. Look, if Pivetta is really this guy who's not giving up homers, who is getting swing and miss in the zone, whose fastball looks like it's going 112 miles an hour when it's going 94, like if that's Pivetta for the whole year, Dylan Cease finds himself. We haven't talked about that. He's struggling. Michael King is who he's been. If you, Darvish, can be added to that, that's a heck of a rotation.
Agreed. By the way, Kevin, I'm just going from your comments that you're not a big NBA fan. Load management and sitting out, and the NBA playoffs are going on. And there was quite the, I don't know if it was an upset last night, but there's a guy who's all into the load management and they couldn't get it done. I'm just saying. So let's get him out of a certain conversation. Let's get him out of a certain conversation, please.
I talked about that with Manny once. Manny likes to lecture me, and I'm not saying just me, but like he likes to lecture me as if I've never thought of these things. But that's one thing he lectured me on spring was baseball and how difficult it is and how different it is. And he's a huge NBA fan, so he knows all about that stuff. And he talks about that's very important to him that he plays every day. So believe me, Manny has schooled me on the NBA.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin. We will let you get back to, is that coffee? Is that alcohol? We don't judge either way. I don't know what's in that hotel cup that you got going on right there.
This is pre-workout, so that's both to keep me awake and so that I can work out at my advanced age.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much,
Probably not
Kevin.
the
We
best.
appreciate
Don't tell
it.
my doctor. Yeah, thank
By the
you.
way,
See you guys.
Enjoy Pittsburgh.
Oh, you guys need to talk more about Pittsburgh. It's my favorite city.
It's great.
Really?
It's so underrated. Just fix the team. It is like one of the best cities to go to. Agreed. You got Primanti brothers. You got the beautiful, like walking over the bridge, seeing the Clemente statue. You got the awesome press box. It's a great setup. There's just no fans.
Love it.
Well, there are fans.
Padres are
They have
missing
just been-
Skeens. Padres are missing Skeens for the second year. How about that? But they're missing Merrill. So, hey.
Yeah.
Ducking them.
See you guys.
So, well, thanks so much, Kevin. We appreciate it. All right. Good stuff from Kevin, as always. Guys, we will be right back with Better Than Box Scores here on Foul Territory.
Let me tell you how much I love my almond shirt. I mean, listen, it's lightweight material, stretchy. This is the kind of stuff, Scott, that you can throw in the washer and dryer, and it's going to come out looking the exact same. The most important thing is you can get your favorite fan gear, man. You know me. I was once a Detroit Tiger 3 different decades, so you know I got to represent the old school D. You see it, the Tiger on the front. And not even, you've got options. Whatever you want, your favorite team. Make sure, biggest thing you do, go get that starter jacket. I know we're still in spring, still going to be cool in a lot of places. Make sure you get the starter jacket. It is fire.
Cam is styling right now. If you want to be like him, homage.com/foul territory and use the code foul territory if you're a first-time shopper on the site, and you can get yourself 20% off. Use the code foul territory. The name of the show and the brand is spelled HOMAGE.
All right, guys, look at these. It is May. Just look at these Aaron Judge statistics. The first player in American League history with a 400-plus batting average, 10 or more home runs, and 30 or more RBIs in March/April. Minimum 100 at-bats since 1920. I mean, you hate to say that things are over in April, but it sure looks like the AL MVP race is pretty much over as long as Aaron Judge stays healthy. It is unbelievable watching that game last night. It's like, well, you kept him in the ballpark, even though the guy lines a single into the outfield, and it's almost like, wow, we won against Aaron Judge this at bat. That's how good he is.
It's a hell of a start.
I stunned you.
It's a hell of a start. It's a hell of a start. It is an absolutely hell of a start. And all the stats are throwing up there. Just think about this now. And I'll say this. Barry Bonds did this for years, this close numbers like this. So he did it for years. As good as we think Judge and Ohtani are, Barry Bonds did this for years. That's it. That's my comment, Britt. Aaron Judge's off to a hell of a start. Let's see if he can do it for the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to hit 400, like, it's hard to surprise you when somebody who should have 3 MVPs, in my opinion, a two-time MVP winner, then has a start to a season that surprises you. Like, this is crazy. But Baseball Reference it, okay? Check out all the italics in Barry Bonds' columns. It's crazy. But what Judge is doing right now, it is, yeah, you can't even really bet on the MVP right now because he's locking it up. But I might take second place, see who's out there.
Yeah. All right, guys, this is from the Baltimore Sun's Jacob. Calvin Meyer was on the show recently. He talked to 8 Orioles players, including team leaders, former top prospects, yada, yada. Basically, though, everybody said, manager Brandon Hyde, we have his back. He has not lost the clubhouse. This, to me, the fact that we even need this kind of a story speaks to the start that they've had. Do I think that Brandon Hyde is the problem? No, I don't. Do I also think that the manager is almost always the sacrificial lamb before the GM when things go south? Yes, history has told us that. And I think people who aren't familiar with the Orioles maybe are not aware. The Orioles made coaching changes. They took guys off of Hyde's staff last winter after they got swept out of the playoffs. So that is always kind of the warning shot, if you will. Like, we are going to get some coaches out of here. We're going to get some fresh faces in here. The manager always comes next after that. So, the players are publicly going to back him. They're always going to back him. In some cases, they're lying about it. I don't have the reason to believe that the Orioles are lying about this. I think guys generally like playing for him. They like that he doesn't panic. I think Orioles fans have been really upset about some of the lineups and the matchups and the platooning that he has done. But at the end of the day, if the Orioles don't turn this around, Brandon Hyde is going to be the guy on the hot seat. As Ken Rosenthal wrote, he is on the hot seat, and it's going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. I believe that Mike Elias is more responsible for why the Orioles have taken this nosedive. Brandon Hyde can't pitch for them. He can't make them have a good rotation. But I think no matter what, the way baseball goes, it always is blame the manager before you go upstairs. And I expect that to be the case in Baltimore if they don't turn things around here quickly.
What is a player supposed to say? What's a player supposed to say?
Exactly.
No, I hate my manager. He sucks. He's the problem. Of course they're going to say they like him. They want to play and they want to be there. I mean, listen, I don't know. There's managers you play for, Kratz, I'm sure that you didn't like, and the media would come up to you and you'd be like, oh, he's awesome. I love him. Da-da-da. You know why? Because I want him to play me. I want to be here. I don't want to be in AAA. Like, oh, man. Yes, but I like Brandon Hyde. He is not the problem, like you said. But Brittany, what you said is exactly right. They fired some coaches. Freddie Gonzalez, a good friend of mine, he got let go. Some other people got let go. That is usually the warning shot. And then the manager is next. And then the GM says, oh, give me 5 more years to get my manager in place. That's how it always works.
You know what GMs really want besides 5 years? They want cash to spend. And to me, Mike Elias didn't execute that cash to spend because he also had some cash in prospects, and he allowed all these starting pitchers that got traded or all the starting pitchers that were available to either stay at their team or get traded to other teams when everybody had this Mike Elias, cachet of prospects that he could have dipped into, but he wasn't willing to. Ownership isn't the problem right now because they gave, I think, $73 million for him to spend. You know what? Maybe this could be the case where the general manager is the first to go and not the manager, because I've heard nothing but positive, and you don't hear positive from every manager that's out there. But everything about Brandon Hyde we've heard, and I know a lot of people that can back that up too.
Yeah, and I think, guys, when you look at this Orioles team, they're going to hit, but there's no solution for the pitching at all. Kyle Gibson was supposed to kind of give them depth, and you saw him get rocked. He got 4 home runs in the first inning against the Yankees, kind of wore that middle game that they ended up losing. They're hoping to get back Grayson Rodriguez at some point soon. They're hoping to get back Zach Eflin. But at the end of the day, they just did not create that rotation depth, and you don't know if it's an easy fix. Like, there's just not these prospects down below. As you mentioned, Kratzy, with Elias, I think another knock on him is we know that they did an exceptional job drafting hitters. We've seen the position players. They have too many position players, but they purposely did not take pitchers early because it's risky, and they wanted to find some gems in the later rounds, and that was kind of their strategy. And until they had Brandon Young, who I think debuted recently this past month, that was the first player that Mike Elias had drafted, developed, signed, and brought up to the big leagues. Now, Mike Elias, of course, took over after the 2018 season. It is 2025, and that is not good enough. If you are not going to draft, develop from within in pitching, if you're not going to create this pitching lab like the Mets and make guys better, then you need to go and trade for a Garrett Crochet. The Orioles like to say, well, free agents didn't want to sign with us. Corbin Burns is a great example. Well, then you make those guys play for you. You find a way to trade for them. And I don't know why Garrett Crochet is not a Baltimore Oriole. I still don't know why. I think there was a absolute no-brainer to bring him in, similar to what they did with Burns in trading him for a year. They don't like to part with prospects, but sometimes you have to get to where you're going. And if this year's a lost year, are we going to, in your mind, kind of lose another year of this window? Because you've got Adley and Gunnar and all of these guys under team control for another year. And if the Orioles don't go to the playoffs, if the Orioles don't win a game in the playoffs, which, by the way, they have not done in a decade, are we going to sit here and say they're similar to the Toronto Blue Jays, who had this young, enviable core and who we never saw actually get it done? I mean, how do you guys view this season if it is another lost season?
You just said
That would be
a waste. A waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. It's a waste. And we've railed on them. We've railed on them more than anybody about exactly what you're saying, Britt. We've railed on them that they should have went out and got Dylan Cease when before he went to the Padres. They have all these position players. And the one trade they did make, the guys in AAA, right? With the Marlins, they gave up 2 of their guys for a guy in AAA. So I don't know. Mike Elias is smarter than me. He knows better than I do.
And he's good at he produced position players. Sometimes it's hard. You miss on pitchers. Maybe, the staff isn't able to produce pitchers from the minor leagues. That's okay. All we heard about was the dudes that they did have that were just murdering Norfolk. And yet Jesus Luzardo went a few miles north to Philly this offseason. AJ brought up Garrett Crochet. Teams are willing. I mean, hey, we could have taken Luis Castillo from the Mariners. He was clearly out there, but he came with a price tag of $25 million a year, I think, for 4 more years. And somebody's making the decision to not be willing to do that. It's not Brandon Hyde. It's not Gunnar Henderson. It's not the hitting coaches. It's not the first base coaches. So it's somewhere above them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are surprised by this. CBS Sports ran an article recently. The biggest surprises, good and bad. The Orioles, obviously, on the bad side. The Mariners' offense on the positive side. What has surprised you guys? The Giants also listed as like a positive surprise. What would you guys say has surprised you? Has been one of the pleasant? Let's be optimistic. What has been a pleasant surprise for you guys here this first month of the season?
Well, Sagano for the Orioles. Where would they be without him? That's
Yeah.
one. We'll start with him. What else has been a pleasant surprise? I think the fact that there's some teams that are in it that we didn't necessarily count on, like the Giants, is a pleasant surprise to me. Because I want to see other teams. Everyone wants to see other teams. And I like that. The Mariners, a lot of people said, we don't know if they're going to be any good. They're in first place, right? So things like that, that's what I like. I like seeing teams that we didn't really talk about that have a chance to possibly get in.
I love seeing what the Mets have been doing because I personally hated on them. And I personally had them in third place in the division. I thought they were going to make the playoffs. But to come together like they have as a lineup has been awesome. But what they're doing in the rotation and the bullpen, the fact that they didn't go out, we just talked about Jesus Luzardo, Garrett Crochet, and they're probably more in the Corbin Burns, Max Fried era. But they're doing all of this with Juan Soto not having a Juan Soto year yet. And this pitching staff has been a incredible surprise. And yet David Stearns has done this for years in Milwaukee, and he did it last year in New York. So to me, that's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of cool to see those fans, and the Mets have just a ridiculous home record. It's cool to see the fans feed off that and vice versa. I mentioned the pitching lab in New York, and you look at Clay Holmes. I mean, I was looking at his advanced stats. This guy, goes from the bullpen to the rotation, has a really strong start to the season, and he actually should be even better. His FIP, which is fielding independent percentage, of the ERA, half a run lower. I look at David Peterson. You look at the fact that they're missing, like you mentioned, Juan Soto's not Juan Soto, but they're also missing Sean Manaea, and they've had some injuries in that rotation. So I think when you look at the Mets, they've been a real pleasant surprise. The Mariners are a team who I didn't think could handle any pitching injuries, and they've had pitching injuries, and they've been able to overcome them. I think watching the Chicago Cubs, who have had a really, really tough start to the season schedule-wise, watching them kind of come out, and Ken had a great article about how Craig Counsell is playing to the winds at Wrigley Field, which I didn't realize was such a thing. AJ, I guess you might be better speaking on this. I didn't go to Wrigley a lot as a beat writer. Is that a big thing in terms of like the win factor there? Why is this new then? Why is he the first guy to be like, hey, we should not try to hit a home run when the wind is going in? Like, why is that revolutionary? Why haven't they been doing that for years?
It wasn't. It was the whatever anniversary of Lee Ilya the other day. He said it. He said it. He knew. Lee Ilya knew back in the day when he called them out. But it's because when the wind's blowing in, you can't hit a ball out of there. So you got to be able to do small ball. And then when it's blowing out, you can just hit a pop-up and it goes out. So this is smart. This is how you should play. But you have to have dimensional players that can do different things. You can't just have guys that go up there and slug or guys that just hit the ball on the ground. You have to have both. And if you have that, that's how you can win. That's how the Cubs teams that win have done, is had more than one thing they can do.
Absolutely. We'll be right back. We got Torii Hunter, former big leaguer, many, many years, joining us here when we come back in just a few. Welcome back. Foul Territory. Britt Ghiroli, AJ Pierzynski, and Erik Kratz. Guys, I feel like we've had some good conversations today. Maybe not as good as if AJ had hosted the show, but pretty strong overall.
Britt,
it stayed on.
There's always hope.
I try to keep everybody on task here. But you know what I enjoy the most about this time of year, guys, is the overreactions. We talked about the positive stuff, and what I also enjoy is the fact that people just overreact. Like a bad week or two, and it's like, oh, this guy's never going to hit again. I call it the Francisco Lindor syndrome. Every year in April, Mets fans freak out about Francisco Lindor. He's always Francisco Lindor. So I don't know. Is there one like super, as a player, was it super annoying that people would ask you if you got off to a rough start, like the world was ending? Because it feels like in baseball, just so many people approach it like it's football. And every game, like my mom the other day was like scoreboard watching. She's a huge Padres fan. And she's like, oh, I can't. The Dodgers won again. I'm like, Mom, you're going to drive yourself insane. You can't scoreboard watch from April until the end of September, like for your own mental health. You know, I mean, what about this time of year irritates you guys as players?
I scoreboard watch, Britt. What are you talking about? I scoreboard watch opening day. I want scoreboard watch in spring training because you're in your division.
Stop.
Your mom is right. Do not talk about your mother like
Stop.
that. She is right. She is right. She has every right to scoreboard watch from the first game to the last game.
She's stressing herself out way too much. It's not good for her health. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that in April. Right, Kratz?
Why not? The games count the exact same in April as they do in September, Britt. I don't know. It's so close to Mother's Day. You need to tell her you're sorry for calling her out like that.
Wow. All right, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Speaking of kind of fun little. Let's have fun in April, I guess. Gavin Lux said he hasn't had this much fun playing since high school. Did you guys see that? Which is kind of a cool.
Scenery. Change of scenery, Britt.
What?
Change of scenery.
And another year off his ACL surgery, too. Second year healthy off the ACL surgery. You got to fight through it your first year. This year he's healthy, and he's banging. Everybody wants to hit in Cincinnati Small Park.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm down. Maybe they'll change the fence again in Baltimore, see if they can get some more people to come in. Because every year they just keep messing with the dimensions of Camden Yards. Stop it. Keep it. Keep it like it is. We'll be right back. All right. Hey, Torii Hunter.
Hey,
We got
guys.
Britt, Ghiroli, Erik Kratz, AJ Pierzynski. Torii, this seems like a really great time to put you on the spot. Are you ready?
Oh, no, not at
I think
all.
you're ready.
With AJ on this show, not at all.
I didn't even get to ask the first question.
No, just you.
Torii,
your
do you
presence. Kratz, you can
Torii,
ask
did you
the
change your
question.
phone number or you got a burner now or what? I texted you about a week ago for a story. Crickets.
Me?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, see, what had happened was, no, nothing.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't
I'm
know
so
what
glad
happened.
you
I
were
was
coming
probably
on so I could ask you.
I was definitely in the meeting, and I think I saw it, and I just totally forgot once I left that meeting. So, sorry.
Uh-huh. Long meeting,
And
Torii. I'm still in that meeting, Torii. I got nothing still. I got nothing.
when I get off the phone, I'm gonna respond so I can say I responded. And you know what? You were one of my favorites out in Baltimore. Whenever I came out there, you were sweet. You were great. And for me to do that, I want to apologize in front of all these folks, from the AJ and Kratz. I'm sorry.
Oh man, you've changed. You've changed. By the way,
Yeah.
I just was
I'll
you trying to
say.
show off? You trying to show off with your little silver slugger and your gold glove back? I mean, I got one of them too. I ain't got it behind me. I don't
You
understand.
ain't got no
Like,
gold
you trying
glove?
to show off?
You ain't got gold? Stop. You ain't got no
Man,
gold glove?
I do
I don't
somewhere. I
know
got
how
it
that
painted. I got one painted.
I don't know how that got here, man, but I
Right?
do have
Look,
something that's special.
look, you do.
AJ,
I
Come
got her.
on.
Look, yep.
AJ,
Wow.
yeah.
Look what I got too. I got this one. Look at this guy. It ain't got no gold
Oh,
yet.
that
But
looks
look,
like any other black guy I ever seen.
look. It's signed with 2 eyes. 2 eyes. This is when you can learn how to spell with 2 eyes.
Yeah, there's 2 eyes. That was after I learned how to spell.
That's right. That's right. I remember when you signed that. Let's not kid each other.
Harmon Killebrew, man. You know Harmon Killebrew was that guy. He set us down and said, everybody, you should sign and hit every letter. Every fan deserves to have a time well thought out autograph. And that's
I
how
mean,
he presented to us.
I've told that story many times on this show to you that Harmon Kilbrew sat you down and was like, "You're gonna sign it right, or we're not getting up." And he'd make you sit there for hours and just work on signing,
Yeah.
signing. It was great. It still works out because people now they come up to you and say, "Man, you have a nice autograph, right?"
Yeah, and you know what? He told me the story. I was like 21 years old, and he said, "Hey, imagine kids playing in the field, and they hit the ball in the a guy hits a home run is outside in the fields, and it goes in the bushes, and they're looking for the ball, they can't find it, but they find one ball, and it just has T/H/ they don't know who it is. So they say, hey, we found another ball to play with. But rewind that. Got kids hit the home run and they're looking for the ball. And then they found the ball and it says TORIIHUNTER. He said they go look it up and they find out you was a decent player and then they put it on a pedestal. And I was like, wow. All right, now he got me. He told me that story about hitting every letter so people can know who you are. And 150 years from now, they can look it up and say, I knew, I see this guy was a great player and I'm going to put it on the pedestal.
Yeah, it should be an autograph. That should be a Hall of Famer, but that's not what we're talking about here because we don't get many New Britain Rock Cats on this show that play with AJ. And rarely do I get any. All I get is big league stories. Oh, I was hanging out with Jordan. Oh, T-Nuts and B-Law and Brad Radke. It's always big league stories. I need one non-big league story about AJ because AJ was never hurt. He's always around the popular kids. He's the quarterback in high school that never talked to anybody that wasn't on the football team. So I need one minor league story about AJ that ain't nobody heard of.
Well, hey, they're rated R. I really can't put AJ on the spot like that.
Hey, be careful.
X-rated, but
be careful. Be careful now because I got some stories now on you too. So be careful what you say. And mine are actually PG rated. We're going to get into one here in a minute.
Yeah, you know what? I can't say the things I want to say on air. I'm going to wait till my book come out. But one thing about AJ, man, he was 1994 draft. I was 93. He came from a different background than me. So AJ was, to me, he was a rich kid. And AJ just, but he played like he was a hood kid. He played hard, reckless, trying to destroy somebody. I mean, I'm like, wow, this guy, you kind of earned my respect through the minor leagues, and so when you got to the major leagues, I don't think people understood who you were, but I did. And I knew you were a gamer and you cared about the team. And let me tell you this story. I'll never forget it. Now, this is the big leagues again. I'm sorry, but we're playing the Oakland A's in the playoffs, and the Oakland A's couldn't stand AJ. And this is 2002, and they had the three-headed monster. It was Mulder, Hudson, and Zito. And Tim Hudson hit AJ in the game, and AJ turned and let it hit his butt and picked it up and flipped it to Tim Hudson. All you saw was smoke come from Tim Hudson's head, and man, they were after him for the rest of his career.
Hey, I should have learned from you though, because you fired it back at Danny Báez, and so I was on deck for that debacle, and you hit him in the leg as hard as I ever seen anybody hit. But I don't care about that part of the story. Everyone's seen that part of the story. Now, what I want to know is the aftermath of the story, because people say, and he swears by this, he told this story to the newspaper, and you know what I'm talking about. Danny Báez in Cleveland said he tried to come into our clubhouse and fight you. Now, what would have happened if Danny Báez would have come in our clubhouse and tried to fight you? And be honest, there would be no more Danny Báez.
He would have got these hands. I can tell you that for sure.
Right?
I would have backed down from that. But he came over to the clubhouse and he apologized.
Thank you.
And he apologized. And what I supposed to do? When I saw him come in, my hands went up like, let's go. And he said, nope, I want to apologize. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't intentional. I don't really do that. And man, let me tell you something. Danny Báez, for the rest of his career, we sat down, we had a conversation, and he's one of the nicest guys in the world. But when he hit me with 99 or 98 in the ribs, where I almost pooped myself, he hit me so hard, all I felt was bowel movement.
Dude, funny. That's unbelievable. You stunned me. You stunned me on my next. I just want to ask, do you think now in the game, do you watch the game now? Do you feel like guys play with that extra anger? Like you said, you would have thrown hands. Like now dudes are like, you know what? I'm going to just slide through and make sure I get to my contract year. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying, do you feel like there's enough fire in the game for dudes? Because what you said so far is how mad you were in that situation and how hood AJ played, which is the first time it's ever been said on FT that AJ's anything hood. But anyway, like, do you think that's in the game?
You know what? I think you have some. I think you have less than most. It's just a different society. It's a different game. It's a different world. We're a little softer, all of us, and since I had granddaughters, I got softer. So I could see the change. But in the game, they got so many rules and so many different things. And these guys are not trained to hit a guy after you get hit. And our pitchers went out and said, you know what, I got your back. I'm going to go out here and stick this guy. So we kind of policed ourselves. I think we kind of got away from that, but I think it's still there. Some guys I really like that actually go out and they make things happen. But I think we kind of got away from all that aggressiveness, and I would call it. And the game has gotten a little softer, not soft, but a little softer. And I love to see some people out there with some aggression, some aggressiveness, taking that extra 90 feet, always prepared and ready to throw to the bases. I see people just get the ball and they don't know what to do and they just throw the ball. Defense is totally different. No one, it's rare. I ain't gonna say no one, but it's rare that I see people go first to third, with intent. And so it's a different game. We battled at the plate, but we struck out. But we battled at the plate and we argued calls, and it's just different. I mean, you don't see that much anymore. And our managers were very aggressive. Our managers got thrown out, and they knew when they were going to get thrown out, and that you don't see that much anymore either.
Hey, Torii, I got two questions for you. You're talking about being hood. All right, so you can tell me this is not true, and you can tell me I'm lying, but this is a true story. Spring training one year, you had a white Explorer, and then you came in and it was purple the next year, or was it the other way? And we said, Torii, what the hell happened? And you said, someone shot at my car thinking I was someone else, so I had to change the color?
Yeah, that's actually that's so true. I had
Right?
I had a white Explorer, and going into, I think, 94, 95, and then in 96, 95, 96, my brother had my truck, and Taru, AJ, my brother Taru is a tough guy,
Yeah.
big muscle guy, and tough guy in the hood too. And so they got into it with some guys, and the guys came back and shot up my white truck. And I was married with kids. I let them borrow it while I was out of town. And I was married with kids. And I said, you know what? I can't have this happening. So I painted the truck, and it came back like purple, midnight purple. And I never went back. I changed my destination from Pine Bluff, Arkansas to somewhere else. So I had to get out.
people that don't know your story, like if they really don't know, you really need to check up on Torii's story from when he was a kid. It's incredible where you are now, and it really is, because for me, we came from different, like you said, different backgrounds. So we have this picture we're going to show, okay, and it's from us in New Britain. It's a long time ago, and I want to ask this story because Britt, we used to work for the Orioles. Do you remember what happened when we was in Bowie that time, and the dude hit you? And you went to fight him in the other clubhouse, and we had to stop the game because you were chasing the dude to his car in Bowie?
Yeah, his name was Matt. It was Matt something, and he was a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
Doug McCavish hits a home run, and he pimps it. He only has like one homer, but he pimps the homer. He hits the homer and watches it for an hour. And I'm like, oh, man. So he missed me the first time when I got up to the plate. He threw inside and missed me. So, and then he threw a pitch away. So I didn't think he was going to hit me. Then he threw it right at my neck, and he hit me in the neck. And I looked, I didn't know if he did it on purpose. So I looked out at him. He was like, come on. So I went out there and, put these hands on him and baptized him. And then I got kicked out of the game. And then I'm watching the game after I took a shower. I'm in my street clothes. I was just watching the game from left field fence. And the guy, Matt, was on the other side of Bowie, and he starts screaming and yelling, and I'm like, "What's up?" And he had his ice on his shoulder, and he was like, "Meet me behind the fence." So I was like, "Bet," and I ran behind the fence, and he ran behind it and ran back and said, "He's trying to get me. He's trying to get me." And he set me up pretty good. So I didn't ever see him again, but if I see him today, I still might just have to get him.
There you go, T. Look at that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh man, New Britain Rockcast, hard hitting New Britain. We had a hell of a team.
We did have a hell of a team, but oh man, that was some fun times. Yeah, some fun times and hard hitting.
It was. Hey, no one knows, but in 1997, me and a guy named Armand Brown, I think it was the year before you got there in '98.
Yeah.
Armand Brown and I, we slept in the car. We knew we were going on the road. That first series of opening series at home, we were going on the road after 6 days, and we couldn't find a place to stay, and we didn't have the money to stay. So we slept in the parking lot of the stadium, the New Britain Rockcast Stadium. Step in that parking lot. When everybody went home, we pretend like we were leaving. We'd go right to the car and sleep in the car. And we couldn't wait to go on the road. But Rich was the clubhouse guy, and he actually allowed us to come in and wash our clothes, brush our teeth, take a shower, and then we would leave early in the morning, go to the mall, and hang out there until it was time to report at 12:01. And then we went on the road, and they paid for our hotel. We got our first check. Then we were able to stay in the Hawthorne. We had enough money to stay in the Hawthorne Hotel in New Britain. So, and that's our story, man. I was afraid to tell anybody. I was embarrassed. I was like, man, I can go back to the hood and live better than this. And it was a rough time in 1997, man. It was the year I almost quit, and but ended up getting called up to the big leagues, and I was 3 months before, thinking about quitting, and then I got called up. So it changed everything for me.
Torii, I got to ask, because you're a guy who's very well liked, well respected. Obviously, you have the career. I know you're in the Angels organization as a special assistant. Ron Washington said you'd be a great manager. You're a great quote. You're always great as a player quote. This is why I called you, because you're a great quote. And you didn't answer, as we established earlier in the segment.
I'm so sorry.
Do you have any interest in managing someday, Torii, and returning to the field in that capacity?
You know what? I try to stay next to Ron Washington as much as I can when I'm there. I'm there at least 5 to 10 days a month. I got a lot of businesses going on here, a lot of things going on here. It keeps me pretty busy, but if I can get my thrill or my feel of baseball, and I try to stay around Ron Washington as much as I can and get a rapport with the players, get to know them. And the last couple of years, man, I've definitely built a rapport with some of the players, and also learned a lot from Ron Washington and all the other coaches in there as well. But yeah, man, when I'm there, man, my stress level is down. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I enjoy it. My wife said I come back happier. She said, and it's a great place to be for me. And yes, I can see myself managing one day, if I'm allowed to.
No, you want to be a GM. You want to be a GM. That's cool. Then you can hire me as your manager. We can fight. That'd be fun. See, that'd be fun. That'd be fun times. We could argue. We could argue over what player is good and what player sucks, and then we could smile and go get Tender Smokehouse when we're done. You can pay for it.
Yeah, no hard feelings. It's just it's just
I agree.
It's your opinion, is what you feel, but the intent is still about winning. So that's something I will always keep in mind, because your intent, and I know who you are, is about winning. And my intent, you know who I am, it's about winning. So regardless, we have different opinions. We can come to a compromise in that situation as leaders.
Agreed. All right, before you go, and then we're going to talk about your barbecue joint that you will not give me for free, so I'm mad. But you remember in 2004, so when I was with the Twins, the White Sox and the Twins, they hated each other. We would talk. They would talk a lot of trash, and we would kick their ass, right? So they would talk trash, and we would kick their ass. So then in 2004, you ran over Jamie Burke for no reason. You were dirty as hell, ran him over. Now, you know that if you would have tried that junk the next year when I was there, it would have been you in the hospital and not Jamie Burke. So you just know that, if you would have just waited a year, how your whole life you would have had no gold gloves, no silver bats. You would have had nothing, and I'd be buying you Tender Smokehouse.
AJ, man, you know what? If that was you, I would have put a little extra oomph on it just to put you to sleep. And then I would have came to the hospital and brought you some chocolates. Man, you know what? Jamie Burke, man, and I heard he was a nice guy, but you know, all the trash talk the White Sox did, man, and in the media to us, they hit us, they threw behind us, they did everything possible to try to shake us up those years prior to, and in that situation, I saw where Jamie Burke was standing there, and I saw the ball coming. He was standing there like as if the ball wasn't coming to trip me up. So I just took him out before the ball got there, and I was, I was safe. And I think that year we won the division. So we were behind. I think in the standings around that time, and it kind of shifted for us after that. So man, I just played the game the way I was supposed to play it. I played hard. I played within the rules, never outside the rules, and that was part of the rules then.
Torii, so AJ keeps trying to get free barbecue, but can you tell people who aren't familiar about Tender Smokehouse and kind of how this whole thing originated? It got great reviews on Yelp, started in 2017 in Saline, right? Now there's a couple different locations. Salina? Now there's a couple different.
Yeah.
Salina. Now there's a couple different locations, right? A bunch of different places.
Oh, yeah.
You got Frisco, Little Elm, Aubrey, Whitesboro. How did this all come about? And Evan Grant, a friend of the show, a Rangers beat writer for quite a while, said it is legit as well. It's not just the Torii Hunter name.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to put my name on there just in case, I do something bad in the world. You don't put your name on anything. But and you know what? We started in 2017. My dad always say he's a grill master, and he taught all his boys, 7 boys, how to barbecue. And some guy came to me and said, hey, I want to start a barbecue joint. Would you join me? And it was my son's father-in-law. So we joined in, and if I was making the barbecue, we'd be out of business. But I'm definitely not making. I delegate. I put the right people in place. We got great managers. We got a great team all around me. But man, I got to tell you, would I rather hit a slider or have 161 employees or team members? I think I'd rather hit the slider. Running a business is so hard. But at the end of the day, AJ, when you give a check to those young men and women, and you give a check to them and they go home and have food, shelter, and clothing, there's nothing more powerful than creating jobs and people can go home and have food, shelter, and clothing, man. I'm fulfilled. I love it. And people say you don't need the money, but you know what? It's bigger than me. It's not about me making money. You do things, you have solution to problems, you get the money. But right now, I'm just trying to be a solution to a problem.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great way to put it, Torii. Thanks so much for joining us, for trying to embarrass AJ. Always appreciated. Please come back on. Please come back on. Please text me back.
I will. Britt, I'll text you back. Kratz, good to see you, Kratz. AJ, you still paying. I give you a 10% discount, but you're going to pay.
Oh, damn. 10%? I'm going to call I'm going to call LaTroy. LaTroy will hook me up.
He get 10% too.
It's incredible.
Torii
Hunter. Thanks so much, Torii. When we come back, we are going to hear what Trevor May has been talking about over on May Day. Stick with us on Foul Territory.
Ooh, we got the free game of the day.
Ooh, yep, free game of the day. Boston versus Toronto at 7:07 is the MLB free game of the day, streaming on the BetMGM app. Live streaming is available to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. All right, guys, let's switch gears and get to, the locks. AJ. Kratz
Yeah.
in New York. Yeah. All right. All right. And there was Alana, who obviously co-hosted yesterday. Alana Rizzo got hers as well. So, 2 out of 3, not bad. AJ, not very good. But let's look at, ooh, God, you guys are in the red for sure. Alana is down 35. Crassie's down 523. And AJ, oof, you're not going to be able to afford barbecue for quite a while. 1,426 in the red. Basically, whatever you think is going to happen, AJ, I'm going to put my money on the opposite, and then I will be living large.
That's called fading me. But you know what? I get 10% off at Tender Smokehouse. So we good now. We good.
Yeah, I might get Torii Hunter to text me back. So we're good now. Great timing, guys. Great timing.
For sure. Are we doing our locks now or no?
Yeah, let's hear it. What do you got?
No, I got one. Oh, no, we're doing top 10 MLB hitters apparently, which in the 20 since 2000. So
no, you're right. This segment's going off the rails. Yeah, we got the top. Let's look at 1 through 10. We've got Bonds, Pujols, Judge, Trout. Oof, look at this list. Since 2000.
Has Trout passed Judge, or is Judge past Trout? AJ, what do you
Judge
think?
is past Trout. Yeah.
yes, I think right now he has. Right now, I think he has with what he's done with the home runs and.
But I'm saying for 2000s, for the entire 2000s, this season for sure.
Yes.
But
I think
for
he has.
2000s, you think he has?
Yes, and they've been in the playoffs.
A lot of that is, Trout hasn't been able to stay on the field. The last 5 years has really been the issue. So, I think that's been part of it for sure. We've got this courtesy of stats prior to 2025. No AL player has ever collected 50 hits in a season before May. Neither had an AL player reach base 70 times before May, or amassed 85 total bases before May. This whole tweet is weirdly worded. What you need to know is Aaron Judge did all of this. Aaron Judge did all 3 things that had never happened before. So, as we talked about earlier, he is having a ridiculous start to the season. AJ didn't want to say much else, but he's probably going to be our MVP at the end of the year.
Pitching has been at the forefront of the technology revolution for a long time. This is for at least 10 years. It's at least 10 years ahead of hitting. And I think that's pretty well known. Prime example of that is the fact that this offseason, the kick change, someone threw one in a game last year. It was like, oh, that was a weird grip. And then coming to spring training, there are dozens of guys who now throw that pitch. That is an indicator that pitching has gotten to a place where you can plug in does this work into the little machine? And then it's like, yeah, it does. And you can just add it and you can go one day not having the pitch. 2 days later, you have the pitch in the game. That had never been possible before. You were just guessing before. Now we know whether or not something could be good or not quickly. And then it comes down to, can you throw it over the plate or can you throw it where you want to regularly? That's what it comes down to. Pitching is at that point, and arguably has been at that point for a couple years now, to where a pitcher is going to can make 2 quick changes and be really, really good, really, really fast. We're seeing it all over the place, especially guys going from starting to relieving, and they're like, oh, I threw a new slider, and now it's the best pitch in the league. That stuff happens. Hitting doesn't have that quite yet.
All right. Here we are. Here is the time now, AJ. You've been waiting for it. Now we're going to hear what you guys have as your locks. Now we're going to hear what not to bet because, as we said earlier in the show, AJ is on a bit of a cold. Are we calling it a cold spell? I don't know. What are we calling this terrible month you've had to start the year?
No, it's early. Remember what you said? Remember what you said earlier about not overreacting? It's early. And after today, we back, baby.
Yep. Don't come on here, Britt, and tell us that we're not doing good because we have all the answers now. That's what we got. And I don't know. I'm going money line. I'm going money line with the Red Sox. I think it's almost even money, so I'm putting 105 to win 100. Lock it in.
I'm going big, Britt. I need all your good vibes. I need baby vibes. I need good vibes. I need all your Manny Machado vibes. Here we go. I'm going over 7.5. Rockies, Giants for all my money. I'm either going to be even or I'm going to be double. But we going big today, Britt. So that's it. That's the bet. It's plus 100. It's even money. So I'm either even or I'm broke as a joke, and I need 20% off from Torii.
Well, your start to the season is Rockies-esque, AJ. I'll give it to you there. So I think that's a smart bet to be betting on the Rockies game.
It's a new month.
Kratzee,
It's a new month.
You're more like the underwhelming Orioles right now, but you have time to turn it around. AJ, I'm not so sure. We might be looking at a historically bad team. Historically bad. Get in on the excitement at BetMGM with any sport. No sweat token. If you don't win your wager, you'll get a stake back in bonus bets. Gambling problem or concerns? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, welcome back. Let's slap some hands. Can we still do that? Figuratively? Literally?
It's
Big
more
snaps.
of a verbally.
Oh, all right.
More
Snaps. It's like the bend and snap? Snaps and claps? Claps
I don't
for
know.
you?
But we'll go right to the Kratz Hatz because
All right, let's do
I've been
it.
breaking a lot of big league ones out. This is the Copa Diversión. It's the diverse. I can't even say the word. Anyway, it's the Mamajuanas. And if you have ever been to the Dominican, you know what Mamajuana is. So this is the Mamajuanas hat that the Iron Pigs wore.
Okay. Cool. I don't
All
know
right.
what a Mamajuana
I'm
is.
impressed.
I'll go with it.
Yeah. When you go to
We should
Dominican,
ask. You know, we should have asked Torii.
Either. I
There's
just
so many
nod my
Torii
head.
stories. There's so many Torii stories we could have told, but the one story we didn't tell is you're talking about playing in the Winter League. Torii went to Venezuela for like 2 weeks. He hated it. He just left. He's banned for life. Smartest decision of all time. He's like, I can't ever go back to Winter League. Oh, well, too bad. So sad.
as a minor leaguer,
Yeah, he was, yes. He went, and he's like, I hate it. He left. Just left. Didn't tell anybody. Bought his own flight, flew home. He was banned from Winter League for life. He's like, yes, jackpot. I hit the jackpot. The rest of us were like, this guy's smart.
Interesting.
some cash to be earned down there though. But he did fine. He didn't need it. He knew he was going to make it to the show.
He did okay.
He did okay.
Dude, this Brett.
Don't forget to catch I'm back. Don't forget to catch Fair Territory. I'm back slightly blurry, but here to tell you, Ken Rosenthal with Trisha Whitaker, they are going to get into baseball's biggest storylines. They're going to get into the Blue Jays' comeback win last night, Chris Young losing his patience with the Rangers offense, and of course, Ken's dude and dork of the week, the latter, which is always named for A's owner, John Fisher. So Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. Make sure you catch that.
Your internet's running out on us at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I think
You're like the Yankees internet. You need to
charge it.
Jesus, pay for it. All right, well, I'm going to be in Baltimore this weekend, Britt, so I'll look forward to seeing you. Royals, Orioles with Fox. I'll wave to your Royals for you, Kratzee. I'll say hi to Salvi and those boys for you. And we look forward to Scott joining us back tomorrow on Foul Territory. Todd will be here, right, with you, Kratzee? Well, one-eyed Scotty.
Todd and And One-Eyed Scott.
Yeah, so good luck to you guys. Everyone have a great weekend. I won't see you, but I'll see you guys in Baltimore and Kratz. Mama wanna.
Make sure Stalvey answers his FaceTime call one time.